Today I have the opportunity to optimize the page speed on a WordPress site called stylesandbags.com. It is a fashion e-commerce site, and the owner of the site, Marek, is kind enough to allow me to work on his site and share this case study with you. I feel for page speed optimization, there is really no point in me sharing with you how to build a new site from scratch and got it to a 90+ rating on Google PageSpeed Insights. It's so easy nowadays if you just don't use old school page builders like Elementor, and I know most of us who are watching this video already have a live and operational site and you want to optimize that. So this video is all about helping you do that. So here I am challenging myself to optimize this site. In fact, I've done a few page speed optimization case studies on a couple of live sites, and if you're interested in watching those, you can check out the playlist right here. My only goal in these videos is to help you get your website to a 90+ rating on Google PageSpeed Insights, and I follow a very simple principle, which is to have a minimalistic mindset when it comes to plugins. Honestly, I've optimized lots of websites, and I can say that a slow WordPress site is most often related to code cluttering, conflicts between multiple plugins, as well as old school page builders because they load a whole bunch of unnecessary CSS and JavaScripts on the page. The secondary causes are the caching environment, the theme you use, and finally the web hosting environment. For me, web hosting is crucial, but it has very little impact on the rating for Google PageSpeed Insights unless your host is subpar. And in today's example, this site is hosted on the Namecheap web hosting, which is known to be one of the best domain registrar, but when it comes to web hosting, I have doubts on the performance. But anyway, we are here to find out the root cause of the slow website, and I'm going to walk you through the steps I would take to optimize this site. So make sure that you stick around because towards the end of the video, I will consolidate all the information so that you will have a complete strategy to tackle the Google PageSpeed Insights rating on your own. So without further ado, let's get cracking. Hey, this is Jack, and if this is your first time on my channel, I share a lot of WordPress Gutenberg content and tutorials, and my main focus is to help you get a 90+ rating on Google PageSpeed Insights. And if that is your goal, then subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification so you won't miss any of my content. So before we start, we definitely need to know the current state of the website. So we will go to Google PageSpeed Insights and run a test on it. And as you can see, the page speed rating is not ideal. The first contentful pane, which is the first object that is loaded on the screen, takes 2.6 seconds to load. The ideal timing is 1 second and below. And the time to interactive, which is the time where the user can actually do something on the site, like scrolling, takes 7.1 seconds. Just imagine a store taking 7 seconds before you can actually see what they are selling. I think this is a deal breaker. Now the speed index is simply the time where all the elements above the fold are loaded, which in this case takes 9 seconds. And between the first contentful pane and the time to interactive, there is a 1.13 seconds long total blocking time, and this is most of the time caused by overloading of JavaScript above the fold. And then the largest contentful pane is the largest element above the fold that loads on the screen. So you see, out of the 6 lab data here, 5 of them are concentrated on above the fold content. Google PageSpeed Insights focuses a lot on above the fold content, which makes a lot of sense. You don't need the entire web page to load before your site visitor can consume the content. Now the only stat that passes the Google PageSpeed Insights for this page is the cumulative layout shift, which means how much your content shifts after the content is loaded. Now someone asked this question in one of my videos, and I thought I should address this here. The thing is, every page on your website will have different Google PageSpeed Insights scores because every page has different elements. So given that your web pages are competing for ranking on a range of keywords on Google, those pages that are competing will need a good page speed score in order to have an advantage over the competition. So it is not only about optimizing your homepage. As long as a page is trying to rank for keywords on Google, it needs to have an ideal page speed score. I hope this makes sense. So back to this, let's scroll down and see what's going on behind the scenes. So there are a lot of render blocking resources. I think these are caused by a page builder. I'm not so sure why WooCommerce is loading on the front page, because if we go to the mobile site, I don't see any elements that are loaded from WooCommerce. And this site is not even optimized for mobile, as you can see. The site elements are cut off for some reason. Anyway, we have two types of fonts loaded on the site. I think this can be loaded locally instead of loading it from Google Fonts. We will optimize this in a while. For the reduced initial server response time, there is nothing that we can do other than to keep the site JavaScript optimized, because the more JavaScript heavy your site is, the more time it takes for your server to load. The other possibility is just that the server is slow. So we need to optimize the site as much as we can before determining if the server is the main cause of the slow site speed. Now, the remove unused CSS codes that are not loaded on a page, we can take a closer look at that in a while. Now, this preload largest contentful pane means that this image over here, which is the largest contentful pane, is being lazy loaded. So we have to see which is the plugin or page builder that is lazy loading this image. We'll look into that as well. And then the remove unused JavaScript is the same as the one from CSS. These are the codes that are residing on a page, but it is not of any use to the page. Now let's go to the diagnostics. This ensure text remain visible during the web font load means some fonts are transparent or hidden when the page loads. Because if you use Google Fonts, your web page needs time to connect to the Google Fonts server and retrieve the font style, which is usually a large file, and that's why no fonts are shown for a certain period of time when a page is loading. So to avoid this, some plugins can declare a fallback font, one that will display until your web page loads the Google font. We will look into this later. Now, third-party codes will usually slow down your site. As I said, for Google Fonts, it takes time to load from Google Fonts, and that's why you are seeing all this here. And it seems like MailChimp is loading some codes on this site as well, which I don't think they should be because there is no email capture on this page. Image elements do not have explicit width and height is a common issue when you are using a page builder or you have SVG images on your site. SVG simply means Scalable Vector Graphics. Anyway, we'll resolve this issue as well. This page is not properly cached. We'll look at the caching later. And these are the past audits. So now we know the issues. Let's see how a complete blank page performs, because this way you will know what are the things loaded in the background, and this can help you hone into the plugins that are probably causing your site to slow down, and that's step number 1. So we are on the WordPress dashboard of stylesandbags.com. Let's go ahead and create a blank page. Let's name this page as blank page test, and then let's publish this. And then let's copy this link. Let's go to Google PageSpeed Insights and let's analyze. So the rating is not that bad, and this is the mobile results. So let's see what's behind a blank page. The render blocking resources, these are mainly caused by the theme, as this site is using the Blocksy theme. There are unused JavaScripts loaded because of MailChimp. This is probably a major cause of the blank page not getting a 90+ rating. Now, our goal is obviously to get a 90+ rating, and if we are building a page with a bad rating from the start, you can never get a 90+ rating. I hope it makes sense to you. So this step is really to clear up all the unnecessary stuff that are loaded on your blank page. And this is basically troubleshooting why your site is loading slowly from the foundation. If you're getting a 90+ rating on a blank page, you're off to a good start. These CSS codes are mainly from the Blocksy theme. I think these are the same issues we have over at the current homepage. And then this issue is again caused by MailChimp. On the diagnostics, these again are caused by MailChimp as well. And if we look at this efficient caching policy, we can see a lot of them are caused by MailChimp as well. So that brings us to a conclusion. If we remove MailChimp, most of our issues will be gone. So let's test this theory. Let's go over to the website. Let's go to the WordPress dashboard. Let's go to the plugins, installed plugins. So these are the plugins that are active on the website. And I think this is the main cause of the issues. So let's deactivate this. Now before that, let's go to the blank page and edit this, and let's type in some text. And the reason we are doing this is because when we are testing on Google PageSpeed Insights, we want to know if the results shown is reflecting the change. Because most of the time, Google PageSpeed Insights is testing on the cached page, which sometimes doesn't reflect the change. So let's update this, and let's do a new test on a blank page. So as you can see over here, the text we have entered is displaying, so these results are accurate. And let's compare it to the previous. There is a 3-point difference. No difference in this. No difference in this as well. And this is still showing some MailChimp stuff. This as well. So let's see what is going on. Let's go back to the plugins. And the one I'm quite confident about is this contact form 7 because I've optimized sites that have this plugin installed. So if we deactivate this, and if we go to our page, let's say this is number 2, and let's update this, and let's go to this, and let's analyze it again. Now this is something weird. Let's see what's happening again. We are still seeing some MailChimp stuff here. As well as reCAPTCHA, it shouldn't be there anymore. And here as well, the reCAPTCHA. There must be something on the background. So let's go back to the plugins. And there is this insert headers and footers. Let's see what codes are injected there. So let's go to settings and then this insert headers and footers. And here we have this chimp statistics and it is drawing some information elsewhere. So what if we deactivate this? So let's go to the plugins again. And let's deactivate this, head over to the page and put this as number 3. And let's test this again. So something is really wrong because I thought that I've removed all those plugins that have probably loaded this reCAPTCHA here because if you look at this reduce the impact of third-party codes, you can see that reCAPTCHA is a significant issue. So what we are going to do next is to troubleshoot where this issue comes from. And to do that, we are going to deactivate one plugin at a time to see what is the plugin that is actually causing this problem. Now, obviously, if you are running a live page, please do not do what I'm about to do because it may break your website. So the best option here is to replicate your entire website into a staging environment. And this staging environment is usually provided by a web host. And if your web host doesn't provide this feature, it's best that you check your Google Analytics and see when it's the lowest traffic period. And you want to do the test at that time to minimize the impact. So what I would do is to go to the plugins and deactivate these plugins one by one and test it on Google PageSpeed Insights on each deactivation. So for example, if I deactivate this, I will go to the Google PageSpeed Insights and do the test. And if that plugin is not a problem, I will activate it again. And then I'll deactivate the next. I know all-in-one SEO definitely will not draw those codes, so I will not deactivate this, but I will deactivate this just to try it out. And we'll do the test. So as you can see, the plugin we have just deactivated is not the cause of this problem. So we'll activate it again. So let me fast forward this process because it will take a long time because we have about 13 more plugins to deactivate. Now don't worry about deactivating the plugin because once you reactivate it again, all the settings and everything will remain the same. It will not suddenly disappear. And here we go, we have found the problem. The problem is caused by this plugin called Nice Page, which is a page builder. So it's basically loading a lot of third-party codes onto a blank page unnecessarily. But the problem here is that all these pages over here, for example, they are all built with Nice Page. So we gotta find a way to replace that. So before I remove the Nice Page plugin, I'm gonna build this page from scratch using Gutenberg. So let's go. Now, I want to take this opportunity to explain that it is not always the case that a page builder is the main cause of the problem. Sometimes the main cause for the site speed problem is a plugin that you use on a daily basis to run your business. If that is the case, you really gotta ask yourself if it is a plugin that is replaceable or if it is something that you cannot operate without. You have to ask yourself which is more important to you, a fast loading page or maintaining the functionality. And if the functionality is really important, the next question to ask is if this plugin loads additional codes on other pages where the functionality is not needed. If that is the case, you will probably need a plugin like Asset Cleanup to remove those unnecessary codes on individual pages. In that case, you will only have one or a few pages that are loading slowly, but the others will not be affected. But just to put it into perspective, as long as you are running an old school page builder on your site, it will usually load a lot of unnecessary codes that will slow down your website. And if a page builder is a must for you and your business, then consider using a new school page builder like Oxygen Builder or Bricks Builder. I have tested them and they are fast. If you want to check them out, I've left the links in the description. And we are done with the page. Let me put them side by side and see how they look. The left is the page built with Nice Page, the page builder, and on the right it is the page built with Gutenberg. You see, you don't need to sacrifice the design even when you are using Gutenberg. It really depends on your knowledge and experience building pages with Gutenberg. And if you want some tutorials on Gutenberg, I have a playlist of tutorials for you which will pop up at the top right of this video. But don't go there yet, I will leave the link in the description so we can visit them later on. Anyway, let's test the page built with Gutenberg and see if it is worth the time building it. So now let's optimize this. So if we go back to the WordPress dashboard and then we go to plugins, add new, and then let's search for a plugin called Imagify. Let's install that and activate. And then as we go to the settings and Imagify, you can go ahead and create a new account and get a free API. And once you have done that, you can paste it here and save changes. And then over here under optimization and WebP format, you want to display WebP format on the site. Let's save changes. And then let's go back to Google PageSpeed Insights and see what are the images that needs to be optimized. So this is the image. Let's go back and open up a new tab for the library. Honestly, you can use the bulk optimization tool where they will optimize all the images for you, but I just want to show you an example how to hone into a single image and optimize it. So I believe this is the image we need to optimize. So as you click on it, you'll see this optimize button. Let's optimize this. Let's check out what's next. It is this large image at the top, and this is done. Let's close this off. And this is the other image that needs to be optimized. And we are done. So let's go back to Google PageSpeed Insights. Maybe we should open a new tab. And let's analyze this. And let me put the previous and the current results side by side. So as you can see, this serve images in next-gen formats is resolved on this. Next, let's try to optimize all this. So on the WordPress dashboard, since this website has installed Auto Optimize, let's try and use it. Let's optimize the CSS codes as well as the HTML code. And then let's save changes. And let's test this out again. And as you can see, the rating has increased by quite a lot. So there is actually no change in the render blocking resources, because if you compare the potential savings between the two, they're basically the same. But because we use the auto optimize to combine all the CSS, we only see one file instead of 3. And if we look at this, the serve static assets with an efficient cache policy, previously there was 19 resources and now there are only 6, which is much better. Now honestly, this rating is already very good, but let me try one more thing. Let me install WP Rocket and asset cleanup and see if we can get a 100 rating on this page. So let's go back to the WordPress dashboard and let's add new. Let's upload a plugin, install WP Rocket, and activate. And let's deactivate auto optimize so there won't be any conflict. Let's do the settings on WP Rocket. Now the way to play with all these settings is that whenever you put a check mark and it says there's a potential that it will break your website, you want to do it one by one and see if your website breaks. But for this case, for the sake of speed, I'm going to check everything and then I'm going to go to the website and refresh and check if there are anything that breaks, which I don't think so. So we're all good on this. Now let's do a quick test. We're getting closer. So these are the images we need to optimize. So let's do it. So let me fast forward the process so you won't be wasting your time watching me optimize all the images. And we're done with the image optimization. So let's do the test. And I think this is the best we can do for this page, which is amazing in my opinion. So to sum it up, the web host isn't the issue, but the page builder is. And if you really want an awesome score on PageSpeed Insights, you need an efficient caching and optimization too. And basically, there are a few steps to speed optimization. The first step is to create a blank page and test it on Google PageSpeed Insights and see if there are any additional codes that are running on your sites. Generally, if your blank page is not fetching a 90+ rating on Google PageSpeed Insights, the rest of the page that you build will never get a 90+ rating because all pages will have more than one elements. And the more elements you have on a page, the slower it gets. So the foundation matters. Then the next step is to trim down the plugins. By that, you have to analyze the results from Google PageSpeed Insights. Most of the time, a slow site speed is usually caused by third-party codes. For example, Google Fonts, embedded YouTube videos, Google Maps, reCAPTCHA, and basically anything that requires your page to draw information from a third-party source. If you want a fast loading page, everything should be loaded locally, but I understand that for some sites you really need to have YouTube embeds. For that case, you can use a video pop-up Gutenberg block. The alternative is to replace the video with a thumbnail so that the video will only load when clicked upon. If you want to know how to optimize a page where a video embed is present, then subscribe to the channel because this channel is all about building beautiful web pages with the main focus of page speed. Anyway, my opinion is that all old school page builders are the main cause of site speed, so try to move away from them. I've done one video on how you can shift over to Gutenberg as well. You can check out the link in the description. And finally, the last step is to remove or replace the plugins that are slowing down your website. And then you want to redesign all the pages that are previously built with the Page Builder plugin and replace it with Gutenberg Blocks. And if your site is still running slow after all the above steps are done, the last thing to do is to invest in the caching and speed optimization plugin. I recommend WP Rocket as it is one of the best in the market, which doesn't cost a bomb. If you're interested in that, you can use this link to get the latest discounts. I've left the links in the description as well. And finally, if all the optimization is done but you're always getting the reduced initial server response time from Google PageSpeed Insights, it is time to change the server. I hope all these steps given to you will help, and if it did, please help to smash that like button so that this video can reach out to more people who needs this information. Thank you so much for watching this video. I wish you all the best. Take care and stay safe.